everyone, this is Jack. Well, guess what I got? I got a bountiful of fallen leaves. And the best part, all of these fallen leaves are free of cost. It's that time of the year where you can utilize all of these leaves to make your soil rich and living. So in this video, I'll show you techniques to use these fallen leaves, and you'll never throw away fallen or dead leaves after watching this video. So let's get started. Well, there's no shortage of dead leaves or fallen leaves in fall. Well, most people just rake them, make them into piles, bag them, and throw them away. That's an atrocity because these fallen leaves are a rich source of organic matter that will make your garden lush. Now, instead of throwing these away, you can turn these leaves into rich organic compost. It is a very simple process, and once you understand this, you'll be making compost in no time. For composting, you need 4 basic things: carbon, nitrogen, water, and air. Grass clippings are rich in nitrogen and provide the green material for the compost pile, while dead leaves are rich in carbon and provide the brown material needed to make the hard compost pile. Grass clippings are perfect to use when making compost pile, along with dead brown leaves because they do not attract any pests and decompose quickly. Layer the green and brown material like a lasagna to make the hard compost pile. Composting is the process to speed up the natural decay of organic material by creating ideal condition of carbon to nitrogen ratio for organisms to thrive and decompose the material. The correct carbon to nitrogen ratio is the key to composting. 30:1 carbon to nitrogen ratio is ideal because organisms that feed on the organic material consume 30 part carbon to every 1 part nitrogen. Too much carbon will slow down the decomposing process, and too much nitrogen will create a foul smell in the compost pile. Here's carbon to nitrogen ratio of some materials. Anything below 30:1 ratio is considered green, and anything above 30:1 ratio is considered brown. Some of green materials include grass clippings, which is 17:1 carbon to nitrogen ratio, while coffee grounds and manure is 20:1, and vegetable scraps is 25:1 carbon to nitrogen ratio. Some of the brown materials include dead leaves, which is 60:1 carbon to nitrogen ratio, straw and hay is 90:1, paper and cardboard is 175:1, and sawdust is 500:1 carbon to nitrogen ratio. 2 parts green to 1 part brown is a general rule for creating a compost pile. To further understand the ratios, let's take grass clippings and dead leaves as an example. Take 2 parts of grass clippings, whether it's 2 buckets or any measurement, to 1 part dead leaves. This means we have 2 of the 17:1 carbon to nitrogen content and 1 of the 60:1 carbon to nitrogen content. After adding these up, we have 94:3 carbon to nitrogen content. Now let's divide 94 by 3, which results in 31.33:1 carbon to nitrogen content, which is right where we want to be. However, adding just a little bit of sawdust will greatly increase carbon content because of 500:1 ratio of carbon in the sawdust. So use sawdust very sparingly. I use just a little bit of sawdust just to be on the safe side not to have a smelly compost. Never compost dairy and meat. These products will create a very bad smell and attract rodents and flies. I also add coffee grounds to my compost pile since coffee grounds are very fine and decompose quickly. Coffee grounds can, however, create a compact compost pile, so I add toilet paper rolls to provide aeration to the compost pile. Toilet paper rolls help to provide aeration and also make the compost pile lighter. Completely mix and pile all the material. Make sure the pile is at least 3 feet wide and 3 feet tall to be effective. Water the pile completely when done. Water heavily so that the water starts to come out of the sides of the compost pile. After 1 week, the pile starts to heat up and all the organic material starts to decompose quickly. Keep the pile moist by watering the pile every 2 to 3 days and aerate the pile by turning the pile every 3 to 5 days. Turning the compost pile provides aeration to the compost pile and help to break up the material. When turning, move the outer material on top of the compost pile into the middle of the new pile. After 2 weeks, the compost pile will start to heat up further. The temperature of compost pile should reach around 130 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, which is around 54 to 60 degrees Celsius. I have a thermometer here to check the temperature of the compost pile. I'm inserting the thermometer into the pile and the temperature starts to rise. The temperature rises quickly because of the heat in the compost pile. The temperature of my pile hits around 128 degrees Fahrenheit or 53 degrees Celsius, which is acceptable. My pile is not heating up to 130 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit because my compost is a little bit heavier on the carbon side. I like it this way so that there is no foul smell in my compost pile. After 1 month, the compost decomposes further. It is still heating up, but not as much as before. The maximum temperature my pile is now reaching is around 123 degrees Fahrenheit.
After 2 months, the compost is almost ready and does not need to be turned any further. After 2.5 months, the compost cools down and the worms move into the compost pile and further decompose the organic material by making worm castings in the process. After 3 months, the compost is fully decomposed and turns into rich black decomposed material. This compost makes great addition to raised beds and does wonders when growing vegetables. If you ever had a failure in gardening while growing any kind of vegetable, make or buy compost and add it generously to your garden, and you will definitely see good results.
This video is sponsored by Rake. Rake makes all-weather shoes that carry a lifetime warranty. These shoes are perfect to work around the house, doing DIY projects, and especially gardening. These shoes are waterproof and they're very comfortable to wear. You don't have to worry about getting these shoes dirty while gardening at all. Feel free to jump in the puddles, get the shoes muddy, and you can just rinse them off and the mud just washes right off. Rake carries many different styles of these boots on their website, both for men and women. If you're interested in purchasing these shoes, I will leave a link to this product in the description of this video.
Well, if you ever had trouble gathering all of these fallen leaves, there is a very easy way to do so.
I also made a video on a really easy way to rake and gather all of these fallen leaves, and that's using a lawnmower. And a lawnmower also shreds all of these leaves, so it's very easy to decompose these leaves once they are shredded.
Just go over all the fallen leaves on the grass with an electric mower. You can even go on a lower setting on the grass as well if you want to cut the grass along with picking up all the leaves. Just use the electric mower to pick up all of these leaves and look at it. The pile of leaves is gone and it's already bagged. Check out this bag. Did not have to use any rake, didn't have to make any piles, and all the leaves are already bagged. So just in 10 seconds, I picked up all of the leaves in this area and they're already in this bag. Now, one of the biggest problems I have with bagging leaves is that not only you throw away all the organic material that you can otherwise use in your garden, you also use plastic bags that goes into landfills, which is a really bad thing for our environment. Now that all these leaves are already bagged for you, you can easily incorporate this into your garden. Now, if you don't have the time or the space to make hard compost, there are other ways to utilize fallen leaves in your garden. You can actually use them as mulch around your plants, and you can also add it into your soil to increase the organic matter in the soil as well. Incorporating dead leaves in your garden not only increases the organic matter into your soil, it also increases the microbial activity in the soil as well, which your plants really love. Roots thrive in living soil. I have a video on how to make your soil living in which I emphasized increasing the microbial activity in the soil, and fallen leaves, dead leaves do just that. So if you incorporate all of these dead leaves into your soil, you can grow big, beautiful, nice vegetables. Using fallen leaves in your garden also attracts earthworms in your soil, which in turn makes worm casting, which is fertilizer for your soil. Earthworms also aerate the soil and help with drainage, which promotes healthy roots and makes your plants thrive. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you can make use of all of these fallen leaves this fall, and I'll see you in another video.